Gohan finally gets some hero experience, both willingly and unwillingly, going through his internship with Goku, and then fighting off the League of Villains. And now, he plans to join his friends in order to save Bakugo. We'll cover all that and more in this fourth part of What If Gohan Was in My Hero Academia. Gohan's involvement would make the retrieval of Bakugo easier, but he's not actually going to change anything too major, at least not right off the bat. Goku's going to provide more of a change if anything, so let's look at his point of view. Being one of the top 5 heroes, Goku's of course looped in the whole raid. He doesn't actually infiltrate the hideout alongside All Might. Instead, he's with people like Best Jeanist, Mount Lady, Tiger, and Gang Orca, trying to take control of the area where the Nomu are and secure them. Things seem to be going well, but then, All For One gets involved. All For One attacks the facility. Goku hears a blast outside, and right before it hits the facility they're in, Goku tries to power up and block against it. Briefly, by expelling out his energy, he creates a pseudo-force field. But it's very shoddy, he didn't have time to prepare, and All For One is really strong, so this only serves to dampen the blast. It does protect the people alongside him though, but everyone's shaken up and a bit injured by it. And now, this group has no choice but to stand against All For One. Goku can't believe he has to face him. Now, he is a little bit nervous, but he's also kind of curious. He wants to see how strong this guy truly is. Now, this Goku's going to be more grounded than the one that we know from Dragon Ball, but he of course still has fun with battles. But being a hero and given the immediate danger that everyone else is in, he's taking this more seriously. First and foremost, he wants to defeat All For One. And he doesn't even know if that's possible. Goku powers up into Super Goku. Given the dire circumstances, it's pretty easy to transform here. Briefly, this group of heroes tries to fight All For One, and All For One dispatches most of them very quick. He then turns his attention towards Goku, who is clearly the strongest of this group right here, extending an outstretched hand towards him, trying to grab onto Goku, aiming to steal his quirk. But before it makes contact, Jeanist is able to grab his arm and pull it away. Of course, All For One quickly frees himself, and Goku's more cautious now and stands back. You know what? All For One thinks to himself that he might not even need Goku's quirk. It might not even mesh well with someone like Tomura, especially because Goku needed a lot of training to make his work. If anything, Gohan's quirk might be more interesting and more beneficial for Tomura. So for now, All For One's just gonna kill Goku. He has no use for him. Goku briefly fights against All For One. It's so strange. This is one of the very rare occasions that he actually gets to use Super Goku, but it doesn't seem like it's doing too much here. He can't overpower All For One right now. Of course, Goku has been working on awakening his quirk even further, wondering if he can get his heart and soul in complete harmony, moving and acting on complete instinct. Maybe he can grow incredibly strong just from that alone, but he hasn't quite done it yet. Super Goku is still great, but it does have the downside of being unstable and tough to transform into. All Might arrives. He tells Goku he's going to handle this, but Goku says no. He wants to fight alongside All Might. He knows that he doesn't know him too well, and he does know that this is his fight. It's a fated encounter between him and All For One. But ever since the USJ incident, he's actually been interacting with All Might more, trying to learn more about him. Plus, the two of them get along because they both have protégés with similar power to them. Now, Goku doesn't know the full details about Deku's quirk, but that curiosity fuels him if anything. He wants to know more about All Might. Anyways, more important here is that he knows All Might's weaknesses by now. He saw it in USJ, and he fully learned about it later on. He wants to assist here. If Goku knows the risk, All Might's not going to turn down the help, and he thanks Goku for standing alongside him. The two briefly fight together. And with this, they're actually able to make some really good progress against All For One, damaging him significantly. But Goku's already worn out and injured a bit. All For One tries to dispatch him first. By this point, Bakugo's already been rescued, and everyone else is watching the rest of the fight. As they try and leave the area, Gohan actually stays back just to see what's happening with Goku. His friends try and get him to leave, but Gohan needs to see how this goes. And he watches as All For One defeats Goku, hitting him with a devastating attack, puncturing Goku's torso. At the very last moment, All Might's able to intervene, hitting All For One as he launches that attack against Goku. This prevents it from being completely lethal. But Goku is still pretty badly injured. All Might now fights alone, and Gohan's friends turn to him to see his reaction, but he's not there anymore. It's like one moment he was, and then he just disappeared. But as they look on the battlefield to see where Goku is, he's no longer there either. All that's left behind is a streak of electricity and a burn mark on the ground where Gohan once was. Goku's even a bit confused, looking around and seeing that he's in a safe area now. Somebody retrieved him and brought him to safety, and that person stands right next to him. It's his son, Gohan. And something's different about Gohan. Goku weakly smiles once he realizes what it is. Gohan's hair and eyes are electrified with the same energy that courses through Goku, taking on a pretty similar transformation to him. Though Gohan can't really maintain it, and he goes back to normal. He briefly felt this power before. When defending himself in the forest camp, he felt a huge burst in power, but only very briefly when he tried to defeat the Nomu there. But now he has the same thing, and it didn't activate for a split second this time. It was still short-lived, but it stayed around long enough for Gohan to realize what's happening. Seeing Goku injured gave him the strength that he needed, allowing him to manifest that power and transform. Goku's glad, but he tells Gohan he shouldn't have been so reckless. He's going to get in a lot of trouble, but Goku's not mad, and he's not going to lecture him either. Gohan knows what he did, and he's going to learn from this. If anything, he's glad Gohan didn't hesitate, and also glad that Gohan didn't act rashly while transformed, trying to fight All For One. That would have been a death sentence. Goku then passes out, as Gohan brings him over to some paramedics. The conclusion of the fight is the same, though All Might isn't as injured as normal thanks to Goku helping. If anything, he'd have a bit of an easier time winning since they helped injure All For One together, and All Might's victory might be a bit faster. But in the end, All For One is still defeated, and All Might's secret is revealed to the public. Gohan at least got some things out of this too. He grew a little bit closer with the classmates here. Deku, Ida, Shoto, Kirishima, Momo, and even Bakugo. But now he knows more about that power, and he'll use this experience going forward. After what happened with Stain, he felt like he was falling behind everyone else. They were getting true combat experience. And while their involvement in that situation wasn't ideal, nor was this one, still, Gohan's glad that he feels like he's finally catching up with them. And brief side note here. At this point in the original story, I introduced Piccolo, and he was going to be a separate character here. But I'm not going to do that here. I'm not going to add many other Dragon Ball characters in general. I want to focus only on Goku and Gohan. Plus, adding a bunch of other characters would just detract from the main story, and these two. Plus, this is the first time I'm doing a full My Hero Academia What If. There's so many other things I want to cover before introducing other characters. I never plan on going into this adding people like Vegeta, Piccolo, etc., etc. For what it's worth, I do have 2 lesser important characters that I'm going to add later on, but other than that, don't expect any major ones. Also, even though I know the movies are part of this main story, I'm not going to be covering them here. Mainly because it's the first time I'm doing a My Hero What If, and probably the only time I'm going to do one. I don't really want to spend time on the movies. Anyways, following this incident, Chi-Chi thankfully never finds out about what happened. Goku comes up with another story about how he was saved, and just like everything with the other students, it's all covered up. And Goku at least knows what happened with Gohan, so that's good enough. And it's not because they want to keep Chi-Chi in the dark or everything, it's because Goku knows she would probably pull Gohan out of school if she found out the full details, and even though Gohan shouldn't have gotten involved like that, Goku does know that if he didn't, he might have died on the battlefield. He would have been vulnerable to All For One. Plus, Gohan's still gonna get scolded anyways by the police and Aizawa. He doesn't need to be scolded by his mom too. Dorm life begins and Gohan slowly learns more about his classmates because now he's in much closer proximity. And after all the recent events, he's gotten to know them a lot more. But soon enough, they begin the next stage in their hero training. They're going to be getting their provisional licenses soon. But before that, they gotta make up for their training, since it was interrupted by the League of Villains before. Gohan immediately knows what he wants to work on. So now that he has the super form, which he's just going to simply call Super Saiyaman or Super Gohan, he obviously wants to tap into this even further. Now, Goku did warn Gohan before. Gohan really needs to focus on fundamentals before focusing on buffing his power. So it's great that he has a super form already, but it leaves him in a tough spot. He really wants to practice with that, but at the same time, he knows he has to focus on other things first. Now, he's made some great progress. He shouldn't have much more training he needs to do before he can focus on it. He still hasn't even learned to control the full power of his base, so controlling the full power of a transformation would be even tougher. But that's why they have their training here. Gohan still wonders about Deku's power though. They catch up a bit during training, and Gohan's really glad to see that his training's going well. And he's kind of inspired by Deku too, because now he's working on using his power with his legs more. He has much better mobility, and it helps him move a lot faster too. So Gohan keeps that in mind. He's tried something similar to that before. Now thankfully Gohan already has a signature move in mind. He practices the Kamehameha more, and he's able to pull it off pretty well. And Gohan doesn't get a support item either, but he does have a little bit of a change in his costume. He does try to transform into Super Saiyaman, and it's really tough to do, but he still can pull it off willingly, and even though he's not going to practice with it right now, he knows he's going to have to practice with it later. The issue is, when he transforms, his helmet gets in the way. The pressure from his hair and eyes changing basically breaks the helmet, cracking the screen in front of his eyes, and it feels really uncomfortable with his hair pushing up against the helmet, and it shakes the whole thing, so he gets rid of the helmet. Now, instead, he wears a bandana and sunglasses. This is his second costume. And now the actual exam starts. Gohan starts to show off some new moves. He's worked on trying to propel himself with energy further, and without even transforming, he could jump really far and really high. At some point, he hopes that he learns how to fly, or if that's impossible, he wants to have some form of pseudo-flight, kinda similar to how All Might used to move in his prime, or how Deku's even moving right now. He also looks to Bakugo for inspiration because he can propel himself with his explosions, even if it's not really flight. But Gohan's trying to do something similar, and he pulls it off pretty well in this exam, and he's able to pass the first phase. His power is also going to be pretty great for the second phase too. For the rescue part of it, his quirk is great for buffing himself to lift rubble or even destroy it to save people from underneath. And his personality is suited for hero work too. This phase is probably going to be more difficult if anything because it's all based on how people judge his saving abilities. But he's very kind, almost to a fault, and considerate of others, so I'd feel like he'd excel at this. Gohan gets his provisional license, and now it's time for hero work studies. Goku is still recovering, but thankfully, he's going to be back on his feet pretty soon. Had it not been for All Might, his injury would be a lot more severe. Even the doctors are pretty surprised. Goku's bouncing back. His spirit is just so strong that it seems like even his quirk is helping him heal in some way. At least, partially. But he's still got a few more weeks in the hospital. He's not going to be able to take Gohan under his wing, and even if he could, he thinks that Gohan should go with another agency for this. It'll give Gohan a more varied experience. He tries seeing where his classmates are going, and Gohan can't get into any of the same agencies as them because it's a lot tougher to get into this one. And he doesn't have a bunch of networking connections from the festival, especially because his first internship was with his father's agency. Now, a lot of pro heroes still know about Gohan and he's still on their maps, but here, it's not as easy to get a work study. Sadly, this also means he's not going to be in the raid against Overhaul. I don't see any of the pro heroes involved in this wanting to take Gohan under their wing, not because they have anything against him, but because they might not be too suited to train his quirk anyways. Plus, they have other students that they have. Although, Gohan does end up getting one really odd offer for the work study. Shoto, of course, still failed the provisional exam, and he has to take the remedial course, but seeing that Gohan's trying to do something to get ahead, he wants to help him out. He knows Gohan's looking for a work study, and had Shoto passed this exam, he would have probably done a work study with Endeavor's agency, but, of course, he can't now. But he still talked to his father. Endeavor's still willing to take on someone for the work study and asked Shoto if Gohan might be interested. Endeavor did send Gohan an offer with an internship before, and now he's curious, maybe he'll accept the work study. Gohan really doesn't know what to do with this offer. He thanks Shoto and then he considers it. Of course, he tells Goku about it too. Goku says to go for it. Endeavor is a strong hero, and despite the tension between them, it'll be a good experience. Plus, he could finally figure out what Endeavor wants with them. Although, Goku has a pretty good idea of what it is. Especially with All Might leaving the spotlight, it's pretty clear to the public that there's going to be a new number 1 in place. Now, Endeavor was kind of worried about Goku as a threat to him before. Endeavor always wanted to be number 1, and finally, he might have the opportunity for that. Although it's a bit of a shame that it had to happen like this. But public perception on Goku has really changed. The All for One fight was broadcasted everywhere, and everyone saw Goku fighting alongside All Might, and how he put his life on the line and how strong he was. His Super Goku form was amazing, everyone got to see it. Goku's already pretty high up, he's the number 5 hero, but after this, he's a contender for number 1. At the very least, he's going to shoot up to number 2, assuming Endeavor becomes the number 1. And that's exactly why Endeavor wanted to do this. The rankings aren't set in stone yet, but he knows one thing for sure. The top 2 will be him and Goku. They just don't know the order. And it makes Endeavor uneasy. He wants to learn more about the Sun family, but also, he's starting to undergo changes of his own. And maybe he's been going about this hero thing all wrong. Maybe he needs to make some better connections with the heroes around him, as well as the next generation of heroes. Of course, there's going to be more work studies soon, and he hopes to get other students like Bakugo and Deku. And of course, Shoto. But Deku's at another agency right now, while Shoto and Bakugo can't do any work studies, so really, the only option is Gohan, so why not go for it? With that, we'll leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part? What's going to happen next? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.